Hi kindergartners, welcome back to music class. This past week was a really special musician's birthday. He's one of my favorite musicians and he sings one of my favorite songs. So if you want to listen to a really special song, you can click on the button below and you will hear the song Somewhere Over the Rainbow, sung and played by Izzy. It always puts a smile on my face. This week we are learning about the brass family instruments in the orchestra, and last week we learned all about the woodwind instruments in the orchestra. If you did not get a chance to watch that video about woodwind instruments, you can click on the other button below and watch that video. This week we are learning about, I said it already, the brass family instruments. You can see on your screen there are 4 brass instruments in the brass family, and we're going to be learning their names, we're going to be hearing how they sound, and we're going to see how they are played. Now, all brass instruments are played by blowing air into, just like the woodwind instruments. Remember, we saw those musicians taking deep breaths and blowing into their instruments. Brass instruments are a little different because instead of blowing into the instrument to make the air split, you use your lips. You'll tighten your lips on the instrument to make the sound a little different. You will also maybe use a slide. Some of the brass instruments slide around. You can control that to make different musical sounds for the brass family. Or the brass instrument will have valves. These valves will look like buttons that you play with your fingers, and you can use that with your air and with your lips to make the musical sounds that the brass family makes. Remember, if any of these instruments are interesting to you and you want to learn more about them, you can always keep them in your mind and know that, I really want to play that one day. Maybe you'll get a chance to practice it. So let's start with the brass family. Everyone say brass family. We see there are 4 brass instruments in this family, and we're going to see 5 musicians play 4 brass instruments. 2 guys have the same instrument, and we're going to see them using their mouths. We're going to see them using their fingers on the valves, and you might even see someone using a slide. The musical instrument is going to be sliding to make one song played by just brass instruments. So that is how the brass instruments look when they're all being played together. That's how they sound when they're all being played together. You can see they were played all a little differently. They all looked a little different, and they all sounded a little different. So let's see what those instruments were called and how they sound on their own. This first instrument here is called a trumpet. Everyone say trumpet. And a trumpet is played with your air in your lungs by blowing into it, with your lips on the instrument, and using your fingers to play the valves or the buttons on the instrument. There are different types of trumpets, so you can have a trumpet that plays very, very high notes or very, very low notes. We're going to see a girl that is playing the trumpet, and you're really going to see her pressing those valves. So you can see what that's like. She's doing that in order to make the different sounds that the trumpet can make. We're going to listen to that. Oops, that's not the one. There we go. So she's playing very fast, using her air using her lips and her fingers. So you can see her trumpet sounded pretty high, and she was using her fingers very quickly to make those different musical notes and sounds with her trumpet. Trumpets are also used a lot in hunting. You might have seen different cartoons or different videos of people playing the doo-doo-doo-doo trumpet right before they go hunting. It's a very traditional use of that instrument, but is also played in the orchestra, of course. That is the trumpet. Our next instrument is the French horn. Everyone say the French horn, and that's this round, spinny musical instrument right here, a brass instrument. The French horn has a lower sound, sort of quieter sound than the trumpet, and it is played with blowing your air into it, using your lips, and it has, some of them have some valves. The ones that we're going to see do have valves, so you'll see him using his hand to play those different valves or those different buttons. In this video, we're going to see a guy playing one song using his French horn. It's going to sound lower than the trumpet that we just heard. You're going to see how he holds it and how it sounds. That's really what you want to be looking for. Right, so that was the French horn. We saw him holding it, maybe differently than you imagined you would play the French horn. But that's how you hold the French horn. You saw his fingers moving on the valves. And you also heard different sounds. So I heard a really low note, and I heard higher notes. And he was playing that all with the same instruments, just by changing his breath, just by changing his lips, and by changing the valves. So the French horn is able to play a lot of sounds. All right, our next instrument is called the trombone. Everyone say the trombone. The trombone is the only instrument of the brass family that we see here that has a slide instead of valves. So you're not going to see anyone pressing valves or pressing buttons. You're going to see the front part of this instrument is going to slide, and you do that on purpose so that you can control what sound is coming out of the trombone. The trombone is lower sounding than the trumpet. It's sort of known as a bigger version of the trumpet. And we are going to see a video of 5 military men in their uniforms playing the trombone for one song. So 5 trombones, 5 musicians playing one song, and you can hear the different sounds that the trombone's going to make using their sliding and using their breath. Oh, we have to move me out of the way so you can see the video. See how the trombone is played. I'm going to skip forward on this one so we get high or as low. Oh, that's not what we wanted. Now we're all over the place. See the trombone sliding. See them blowing. You can hear all different kinds of sounds they're making. Very nice. So that is the trombone, how it's played and how it sounds. Our last brass instrument of the brass family is the tuba. Everyone say tuba. The tuba is the largest and the lowest of the brass family, so it's very big. You have to have a lot of strength to hold it up in your arms, and it will sound the lowest of all of these instruments. You do play this by blowing in, using your lips, and using your fingers on the valves, pressing the valves. In this video, we're going to see how big this tuba is. You're going to see them blowing and using the valves. There are going to be 4 guys playing 4 different tubas for one song, and you might even recognize the song. It's used a lot when things are going fast. They're playing very fast. You see how big it is? It's almost bigger than themselves. They're playing it quietly. They're getting louder. Okay, that is the tuba. How it is played, what it sounds like. Did you like any of those brass family instruments? I think they are all very interesting because I've never played a brass instrument before. Maybe one of you will learn one day and we can listen. All right, that's it for the brass family. Next week, we are moving on to the percussion family. That is my favorite family of instruments, and I hope you guys are excited for that. I'll see you next week for more music class to learn about the percussion family. Don't forget that special song below if you want to listen to it. Bye, friends.